has. By the way, his nickname, self-proclaimed nickname, was Super Genius. Wile E. Coyote, Super Genius, has a new idea to catch a roadrunner, and it involves Acme. And it's always a bad day when he gets a package from Acme. Did any of you in here ever feel like you're Wile E. Coyote and it's an Acme kind of day? Anybody? Sometimes stuff happens to us. We didn't do anything to make it happen. It's not fair. We ought to rebel. We ought to complain. We ought to sue. We ought to do something. It's just bad. And that's where she found herself. It's not her fault. But in the midst of circumstances that were outside of her control, the God who sees found her and revealed himself to her. And that's going to be significant. But I just want you to remember today that sometimes you're in a mess that it's not your fault. God still knows and understands. But sometimes you're in a mess and it is your fault. And you hope God surely doesn't show up there because you have made such a mess. Or you just wish he would leave you alone to do your own thing. You don't really want to be found by God at all. Do you know that sometimes, well, really God always finds people, even when they don't want to be found? You may be here today and living one of those lives like, and nobody may know it, but God does. I hope nobody ever figures out what's going on, and I sure hope God doesn't know, but he does. You see, the God who sees, he sees us. And I think about people who have no personal relationship with God through Jesus Christ. Can I tell you a short snippet of my story? One April, when I was 15 years old, well, there was only one April when I was 15 years old, but let's say in April when I was 15. Unlike my senior year in high school, there could have been 3 Aprils there. So in April, I'm 15 years old, and I had been in church for at least 4 or 5 years before that, 6 years, regularly, and had begun to hear the Bible read and taught. And I knew the stuff about becoming a Christian, and I knew that I wasn't. But I'd gone to church at a different church that day than my family normally went to. A friend of mine was being baptized, and I sat in youth church, and that day God found me. I wasn't really lost from him, but I was lost. I was without God. I had no personal relationship. And he spoke to me so clearly and distinctly that I didn't have to look around and say, wait a minute, God, you talking to me? No, he found me. I wasn't expecting it. He didn't sneak up and blindside me. He just revealed himself. And he said, today is your day. And I didn't run from that. I was a scared, nervous, bashful 15-year-old. I know you find it hard to believe. But I was, and I was not going to go down at invitation time because I was too scared, but God wouldn't let me go. And so that afternoon I finally said, God, if you'll let me live long enough to get back to church tonight, I'll do whatever it takes to be saved. I want to be saved. I thought you had to be at church to be found, and you don't. But God found me when I wasn't even really looking for him. I'm so glad that God is the finder of those who feel as if they're lost or hidden or so far out